Today we're going to be talking about special cases. So I've already been talking about this for a few weeks now. We started introducing vertical and horizontal lines when we started talking about slope. So this isn't the first time that you're going to hear a lot of the things that I'm going to say and some of the little acronyms and things to help you remember. So a vertical line, remember, is a line that is up and down. Okay, so I told you guys to memorize a word, which is VUX. And the V stands for vertical. The U stands for undefined, because that is what type of slope a vertical line has. And the x was supposed to help you remember that its equation is always written x equals a number. And we're going to get more into that today. For the past couple of weeks, all we've been focusing on is that a vertical line has an undefined slope. But every time I see a vertical line, I say, is that a VUX? And you guys tell me yes. So VUX is vertical lines have undefined slope, and that is x equals a number for its equation. Okay? So if you look right here, it says a vertical line is written in the form x equals a, where a represents the line's x-intercept. So if you look at the line that they've graphed here for you as an example, you notice that this vertical line intersects the x-axis at this point right here. So that's actually how I'm going to write my equation. So this line is a VUX because it's vertical. I know that its slope is undefined, so it's going to be x equals, and then all I have to do is determine what the ordered pair for that point is. So if you look, it intersects the x-axis at positive 3. So the equation of this vertical line is x equals 3. Okay, so that's a vertical line. Now let's talk about a horizontal line. So remember, when we saw horizontal lines, I always said, oh, that's HOI. Okay, so HOI stands for, well, the H stands for horizontal. And we all know that a horizontal line has 0 slope. So that's what the O stands for, 0. And the Y is supposed to help you remember that that's always going to be y equals a number for its equation. So if you look at the horizontal section over here, it says a horizontal line is written in the form y equals a, where a represents the line's y-intercept. So remember, the y-intercept is where that line is crossing the y-axis. If you look at this line right here, we see that it is horizontal, so I automatically know this is HOI. Okay, so it's horizontal, it has 0 slope, and my equation would then be written as y equals, and then I want to see, well, that point right there is where it's intersecting the y-axis. So my y-intercept, if you look right there, is at -1. So the equation of this horizontal line would be y equals -1. Okay, so this is going to be the foundation. This is what we're going to talk about in practice for the rest of this set of notes. So let's go ahead and do some examples together. So looking at these instructions right here, it says write the equation of each line below. So they've given me 6 examples to practice this on. Now, what I notice whenever I'm checking your daily work and your homework and when we're practicing in class is some of you rely on me to write the extra stuff. So like when I was writing with slope, for example, change in y over change in x, or the delta y over delta x, some of you weren't writing that down. So then when you're at home, you're not used to doing that. So then you make mistakes. So my suggestion is that as you identify that a line is either vertical or horizontal, you go ahead and write down a little acronym. For example, look at number 1. So when I look at number 1, I automatically see a vertical line. So I'm going to go ahead and write down VUX. That way I remember this is a vertical line. It has undefined slope. That means my equation has to be written as x equals a number. That way I don't make any mistakes. So to write my equation, remember, all I have to do is look for that x-intercept. So in this case, x is equal to -2. So I know that the equation of this vertical line would be x equals 2 because it was a Vux. Okay, so let's look at number 2. For number 2, I automatically notice, hey, I'm looking at a horizontal line. So using the tools that my teacher gave me, that would be me, I would go ahead and write down that this is HOI. The HOI is supposed to help you remember. Horizontal lines have 0 slope. Those would be y equals a number. So that gives me the first part of my equation. So I know I have y equals, and then I just look for the y-intercept, which is right here on the graph, and it is intersecting at +3. So that means that the equation of this line would be y equals 3. Okay, so now what I would like for you to do is go ahead and pause, do 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you can restart the video and check with mine. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through these. So notice on number 3, as soon as I saw a horizontal line, I went ahead and labeled it as HOI. So it's a horizontal line with 0 slope, and that gave me y equals. I looked for my y-intercept, which happened to be at -5. So the equation of this line is y equals -5. If you look at example 4, as soon as I noticed that this was a vertical line, I went ahead and wrote Vux. That helps me remember that vertical lines have undefined slope, so they're going to be x equals. I looked for my x-intercept, which occurred at 4. So the equation of this line was x equals 4. For number 5, once again, now this one was a little bit harder to see, but you can see the arrows right here. This vertical line was on top of one of my parts of my coordinate plane. It was on the y-axis, but that's okay. As soon as I saw it was vertical, I wrote Vux, and I just stick with what I know. A vertical line has undefined slope, and that is x equals. Where is this touching x? Well, it's touching at 0, so the equation of this line would be x equals 0. For number 6, I have a horizontal line, which is HOI, so a horizontal line has 0 slope. That would be y equals a number. Where does it touch y? It touches at 2, so my equation is y equals 2. Okay, so we've worked several examples working from the graph to the actual equation. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go backwards. I'm going to give you the equation, and you're going to write, or you're going to actually do the graph. So let's go ahead and do the next 2 examples together. So before I move on, I'm going to read my instructions. So my directions say graph the vertical and horizontal lines below. So when you do this, this is a little bit more tricky because you can't see if you're looking at a vertical line. You have to know if it's supposed to be vertical. But I'm still going to use Vux HOI. So I'm going to show you how to do that with number 7. So for number 7, the first thing I notice is that it is y equals. Well, y equals comes from HOI, right? Because that's a horizontal line, has 0 slope, and it was y equals. So as soon as I notice that there's a y, I know it's HOI. So HOI is a horizontal line. So step 1, you want to plot your y-intercept. So I'm going to go down to -5, and I'm going to put a point. Then since this is HOI, that means that line was supposed to be horizontal through -5. And now I'm finished. This equation, y equals -5, is now on my graph. So let's look at number 8. For number 8, as soon as I see that it is x equals a number, I know that must have been Vux. Remember, Vux helps you remember vertical lines have undefined slope. They are x equals. So then I can go to my x-axis and plot my x-intercept at -1, and then I know that that was a vertical line through that point because it says x equals -1. Okay, go ahead and pause and do number 9 and 10. Then you can check your work with mine. Okay, if you look at number 9, you should notice that it was x equals 3, so I know this was Vux. Vertical lines have undefined slope. They are x equals. So I plotted my x equals 3, and I drew a vertical line through it. For number 10, as soon as I saw y equals 8, I knew it was hoi. Horizontal lines have 0 slope. They are y equals. So I plotted my y equals 8 by going to 8 on the y-axis and putting a point. And then since it's hoi, I know that's a horizontal line through that point. Okay, so what you should see on the rest of your notes is it says some questions. So right under this portion of the activity, it says some questions, ... Then there are 3 questions that are, what is the slope of the line, y equals 5, so there's some questions reviewing slope. Then it asks you to find the difference between the graphs y equals 3 and y equals 3x. It asks you to graph and explain. I want you to do all 4 of those problems, and then that's what we'll start with in class. You must have these problems complete when you come to class. It will be for a grade. You should have completed the majority of the notes with me, guided just now. And then I want you to tell me what you learned by doing 11 through 14. You guys have a great night, and I will see you in class tomorrow.